We're talking about it with Gene Marks, CEO of the Marks Group and business journalist for The Guardian. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Natalie. How are you?
Great. So we see all these conflicting stories. We see stories about people struggling to get by, and then we see stories about people spending big for the holidays. So who is actually spending big for the holidays?
Well, as I wrote in The Guardian last week, this holiday season is really, it's a tale of two holiday seasons. There's the people that can afford to spend a lot, and then the people that are trying to make their payments. And I think we'll be seeing a lot of that as the numbers start coming out during this holiday season. So, for example, the wealthiest 10%, or the highest 10% of earnings in this country, they make about 50% of the sales during the holidays, whereas the rest of the population of the country make up the balance, and they're the ones that are going to be more challenged with making these purchases. So, as I pointed out in my Guardian piece, it's just we have to look at the holiday season in that way.
I see.
The good news is, though, Natalie, is that so far, holiday sales have been over expectations. They've been rising over 4%. Both online, according to Adobe, and also by credit card transactions, according to MasterCard. And that's actually ahead of last year. So despite all of the gloom and doom we've been hearing about consumer sentiment, we have been seeing stronger than last year's holiday sales so far. So, fingers crossed that continues.
What does that ultimately mean for the economy and for us?
Well, first of all, I look at small businesses. I cover small businesses. Small businesses make up more than half of the country's gross domestic product, employ half of the country's, workers, and the holiday sales period is a time that makes up, almost 50% of their sales. So if there is a pullback in spending by consumers, that's going to impact small businesses a lot, because people, if they're going to save money, tend to gravitate more towards the big box stores like the Walmarts and the Targets. I think that will have an impact on the economy if that is what's happening. Again, the good news is Small Business Saturday, which just happened a couple days ago, was pretty strong. According to anecdotal reports that I'm hearing, we're waiting for the final numbers to come in. So again, fingers crossed that that strength in shopping will continue.
That is good news, because I was down in central Illinois. We got so much snow, and I know they did here in the Chicago area as well. As my mom was saying, she felt bad for all the small businesses, because who would get out and shop potentially in that weather? Let's move on, though. There are so many mixed messages on the economy. Some signs point to it being strong, but there's many others showing trouble. Where do you stand on that issue?
I think the economy is stronger than is what is being reported. We are soon going to be seeing third quarter gross domestic product numbers come out. And Natalie, the Atlanta Fed, Goldman Sachs, and a few other sources are pointing to a 4% growth in the economy during the last quarter. And again, that goes against a lot of people's feelings that the economy is slowing down. I do get it that tariffs are going to have an impact, and we're going to start seeing that impact over the next couple of quarters, particularly among smaller businesses. So those that are most exposed to tariffs, I think, are going to be suffering the most, the ones that purchase their products overseas. But for the most part, we live in a really big, resilient economy, Natalie, and I think a lot of businesses are, reacting to the tariffs. They're absorbing some of these costs. Corporate profits themselves were up this last quarter. And if you look at the banks, because I look really closely at them, the banks across the board are reporting strong financial systems right now, with credit unworthiness and credit availability still very strong. So unless something big happens, a crypto bust or, an AI bubble that, really hits the markets, I am still seeing over the next quarter to 2 quarters continued growth in the U.S. economy, and I'm bullish about that.
All right, good news for 2026. Gene Marks, thanks again this morning.
Thanks, Natalie. Take care.